Welcome to the Citrix Ready technical webinar series, where we showcase how Citrix and our partners like AG Innovations today have integrated to deliver valuable products and technologies to common problems faced by our customers. My name is Amreshwara. I'm a technical marketing lead, part of a Citrix Ready team, leading cloud ecosystem of products. Along with me, I have Bala Vaidyanathan from EG Innovations. EG Innovations has been one of our key partner for many years, and they've developed the monitoring solutions for complete Citrix stack. It's proud to have a Bala Vaidyanathan from EG Innovations, and he will be the main speaker for today's webinar. Hi, Bala. Could you introduce yourself, please?
Hey, thank you very much, Amar. Hey, everyone. I am Bala Vaidyanathan. I'm CTO at EG Innovations. My background is I have about 2 decades of experience in performance management, and especially working with really large Citrix and desktop deployments across the globe.
Thank you, Bala. To introduce Citrix Ready, we are end-to-end technology partner program that showcase and recommends to third-party products and solutions that demonstrates the compatibility with Citrix products. Citrix Ready Marketplace is a one-stop where you can quickly and easily find all verified products that are recommended by Citrix. If you would like to know more about Citrix Ready verified products or Citrix Ready program, please refer the links below. And so today, why Citrix Workspace? Today, companies use too many apps to run their business, and they are located everywhere, which brings too much complexity for the IT, and it's too many interruptions between the service delivery that makes user too noisy for them to manage their passwords for each application login, and all of this impacts the user productivity. So the digital transformation require a business to provide a superior employee experience for higher productivity and stronger security policies for data loss prevention. So only Citrix Workspace offers a user-centric experience where everything you need to work is in one unified app with conditional access and performance made simpler based on user context and IT design policies. So Citrix Workspace fully aggregates all apps and data across all applications, both on-premises and cloud, to deliver a right experience to the right users at the right time. So Citrix is reimagining the future of the work, unlocking the creativity, productivity, and innovations to make the extraordinary possible, so that the user have a real-time experience and are connected in a way that allows them to work faster and smarter to deliver greater outcomes for their business and customers. So Citrix Workspace is a market-leading digital workspace that integrates multiple award-winning Citrix technologies recognized by leading enterprises and industry analysts to provide people with a single unified experience. This enables IT to deliver access to not only Windows apps or desktops or data. You could also publish web apps or SaaS apps with a single sign-on enabled through the NetScaler. So that allows to deliver with a greater user experience across any network. So user can connect from any device, so workers can be just as productive remotely as they are at the office. So digital workspace requires several things, which is security, remote access to the apps and data, and greater user experience. So Citrix Workspace includes everything that required to deliver a secure digital workspace. It includes Citrix Gateway, which enables a secure and consistent and easy access to the user devices. And Citrix Workspace also includes um, Secure Hub, which is endpoint management, formerly called as the Zen Mobile service, which delivers secure apps to the user endpoint devices. With the Citrix content collaboration, you can easily and share access your corporate and personal files from any device, and and you can also share with your fellow employees and third parties. So with the Citrix Workspace, it delivers the 5 times better performance over a WAN than any other competitor to your apps and desktop, and ensuring a greater user experience. In Workspace offers the mobility integration, secure file sharing, and networking in addition to the virtualization. So Citrix Workspace is the most comprehensive secure digital workspace available today. Citrix Cloud is Citrix hosted cloud service, brings solutions to a single management plane, and is designed to reduce the IT complexity and simplifies the solution delivery and management. It helps the customer to extend their existing deployments, or they can move 100% to the cloud. With the help of cloud services, now you can deploy digital workspace within an hours, placing your sensitive data and resources on any infrastructure of your choice. This provides you with the highest level of flexibility and managing apps across any infrastructure. That could be a public cloud, a private, or a hybrid cloud. It could be on your on-prem data center as well. So the Citrix supports integration with the technologies that are vary from organizations to organizations. That's when uh, the organization strives to achieve an exceptional Citrix user experience and service quality. So today, let's see how each innovations helps you to proactively monitor your Citrix and underlying infrastructure to deliver optimal end-to-end user performance. So before that, one housekeeping item, we will have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. You are welcome to submit your questions during the presentation. So you could please use your uh, ask a question window and go to webinar to submit your questions. Bala, over to you.
Hey, thank you, Amar. All right. So, the agenda today is we want to talk to you about how to get the best end user experience in your environment today, whether it's a hybrid cloud environment, whether it's a workspace environment, whether it's old XenApp environment, or you have a combination of all of this, which is what we find in a lot of our customers. While you're leveraging a lot of this new technology coming out from Citrix, how can you focus on making sure you're always delivering the optimal end user experience to your Citrix users? Now, by the end of this webinar, we would have given you some focus areas and best practices that will help you achieve that. Now, for that, we will look at end user experience a little bit in detail. We will look at Citrix as a service, and we will look at some analytics. So without much further ado, we will jump into the presentation. Now, before we go much further, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about EG as an organization. So we are a company that has been around for a long time. We are a global company that focuses on providing application and IT infrastructure performance management, a unified performance management that enables you to focus on running your applications, focus on your user experience rather than managing all the disparate elements you have. We want to provide you with the right analytics. We give you the right information you need at the right time to make the right decision in your environment. So managing your complex environment becomes simpler. So that's what we do. Now, here are some of our customers talking about what we have delivered for them. Able to respond to 99% of the issues within 4 minutes, 70% of the issues before they impact customers, 50% improvement in user logon time. So these are the kind of things everybody would like to have, and that's what we bring to the table. Now, this is some of our customers. Just to give you some perspective, we, like Citrix, we are spread across multiple different types of verticals. You've got finance, you've got healthcare, government, manufacturing, and these are some of our customers. In insurance, legal, utilities, service providers, and we have a ton of awards and recognition. So we've been in this space for quite a long time, performance management space, and we have been working specifically with Citrix for close to a couple of decades now, since the time we've been around. And we partnered with Citrix in delivering the right kind of solutions to our customers so that they can deliver the best possible experience to their end user. They can get the maximum out of their Citrix environments. And one thing that I want to leave you with before I go to the user experience and the main topic for today is Citrix has been using us, performance management from EG Innovations, EG Enterprise Suite, to manage and monitor their environments in Citrix Synergy and Citrix Summit for the past 4 years. So for all the customer references and all the customer testimonies, this is the one for this audience we are, I think, would be most relevant for. So without much further ado, let's move into Citrix user experience. Okay, so what is Citrix user experience? The challenge in this metric is this is not a single metric. This cannot be defined by one metric like latency or one metric like total logon time. There is a lot of elements that make up a Citrix user experience, and it is also different for different users, for different customers, different organizations, different use cases. And that is one of the biggest challenges when it comes to managing and delivering optimal user experience, because it is hard to define and hard to quantify in terms of simple numbers. So we will talk about that a little bit. Now, why is Citrix user experience important? Because at the end of the day, user experience is how your users experience your service. And no matter how great your service is, how much capacity you have, or how much bandwidth you have, it doesn't matter if the user is not having a good experience. From user's perspective, then what is a user experience? This is the area that most of our focus needs to go, because as more and more things become more sophisticated for the user, it becomes more complicated in terms of service delivery. And we should not lose sight of the fact that at the end of the day, it is still the user experience. It's not how many NetScalers you've got at Sky. It's not how much capacity you've got in your Zen app or what's going on in your workspace. Ultimately, it's always how the user is interacting with the service. So keeping that in mind, let's talk about when a Citrix user is happy, right? They want this to be available, obviously. They want the response time to be low, throughput to be high, so it needs to be performing well. It needs to be reliable. That is, it shouldn't be down for a long time. If there is an issue, they should be able to call somebody and should be able to get it resolved quickly. And more importantly, there shouldn't be too many issues. And it needs to be consistent. They need to be able to trust it. All of this makes up your user experience. So let's break it down in terms of metrics, things that we can measure and quantify. Logon is slow. Logon is probably in the top three, if not the top one for most Citrix services. So we need to measure logon. You need to see how long it took. If it is slow, why is it slow? You need to be able to drill down to a specific degree as to why it is slow and provide that information. So you can get it resolved. Now, once you go past log on, that's your big first experience, your user log on, the first impression. Once you go past log on, it's how long does it take for the application to launch? What is the latency? Does the session get disconnected? The peripherals, do they work? Printing, multimedia, playback, all these kind of other things that they're expecting to see, are they working? You need to be able to measure all of these different things depending on what's available in a given environment. You need to track how long does an application take to launch consistently. You need to track latency at the network layer, latency at the ICA or HDX in modern technology. And do your connections work? Do you have choking in printing? Is your multimedia playback consistent? So all of this constitute Citrix user experience. Now, we have established that this is not one metric, right? So it's not one metric. And since it is not one metric, there is not a single methodology to collect this. There are multiple different methodologies to monitor and manage user experience. And there are pros and cons on each and every one of these methodologies. So, for example, these are some of the methodologies that are currently available or currently popular. Session simulation. Simulate a Citrix user session. It gives you, to a reasonable extent, real-time user experience, but it doesn't give you visibility into what's going on within the environment, within the network. You can do the monitoring from the network. That gives you the network visibility, but it doesn't give you the server-side diagnostics. It doesn't give you what's going on within the client device. Monitoring from server side is good. That gives you most, but it still doesn't give you what's going on from the client side. The client side diagnostics is missing. Monitoring from the client side is good. It gives you some, but it misses out on server side diagnostics and network diagnostics. So in simple terms, there is no one magic bullet. Any one of these approach is not good enough for you to cover everything that you need to cover in user experience. And that's the most important thing that you need to realize here. It's not a single approach. If you're looking at a solution that has one of these four approaches, while that might be to a reasonable degree giving you the kind of metrics you need, but it's not going to be adequate to comprehensively understand user experience and manage user experience now and going forward as the environments change. So you need an approach that constitutes of all these methodologies and uses multiple methodologies to give you the visibility that you need into all these tiers: the real-time user experience, server-side, network-side, client-side diagnostics, and visibility into your HDX channels. So EG is an example where we are using synthetic monitoring to give you the details, where we emulate a user 24/7 in real time, impose the same kind of workload, and give you what is going on from the user's perspective. In addition to that, we also do real user monitoring, where we check the real workload, monitoring the real users, the real logon. So it's a combination of simulation, synthetic, looking at it from the server side, client side. So all these approaches are present. So what this does to you is it gives you a comprehensive picture of Citrix user experience. So essentially, you need to have the ability to monitor many things and from many different vantage points to be able to consolidate and get a feel for what the user experience is in your given environment. With that said, I want to show you guys a demonstration of how this looks like in real life. So let's go into a demo. Now, this is a cloud service from EG that we are connecting to, and you are seeing an example of this cloud service demonstrating different metrics for a given service, for a given Citrix service. In this example, we're actually looking at logon simulations. So you can see multiple logons being simulated here, and I can actually drill into this. So you can see the web URL being connected, username, session host, web logon, enumeration availability. So let's drill into this and get a snapshot of the logon. Okay. So as I'm navigating through the interface, there are a lot of different things that you can potentially see here. But I'm going to focus currently on logon simulation. So this is simulated logon. You can see desktop, help desk, all that. So I'm popping up. So you can see overall, this simulation took 28 seconds. And the way this simulates is it actually connects, logs into your environment, launches an application, successfully makes sure that the application launch is complete, waits for the applications to finish launching and show up, and then logs out and calculates the time it took in each and every stage of that process. So it not only gives you the total simulation time for the logon, it also gives you the breakdown in terms of where it took what amount of time. So in this scenario, you can see client processing took less than a second, 4 seconds for authentication, 16 seconds for SGX session establishment, and about 3.5 seconds for application desktop launch. Okay, so that is an example. And if anything breaks in this process, if the authentication becomes failure, the authentication fails, that is also getting reported. So 24/7, you're launching multiple different applications and checking the logon and its simulation across your environment. So from an external perspective, you are making sure that your application is always available, your key applications are always available. And this can be done from multiple different locations. So you can target different data centers and different user groups you have and make sure that from that particular location, from that particular data center, you can always establish logon, establish connection, log on, launch an application successfully, perform some activity in the application, and log out. So this is one perspective of it, right? So let me see if I can show you guys an example of a logon having issues from logon simulator. I think it should give us something. So in this scenario, there are a couple of issues in the logon simulator. You can see the first one having issues with, let's see where the issue is. So authentication takes about 7 seconds. So total simulation time close to 2 minutes, and application launch has taken about 77 seconds. So you can clearly see where the issue is here, and it is quite obvious looking at this scenario where the potential problem is. Okay, now let's look at another simulation in the same environment where you can see that the problem is elsewhere. Authentication is taking about 45 seconds. So you can see the different breakdowns. And this is logon simulation. So this is one methodology of looking at logon and establishing where the problems are, monitoring it 24/7, monitoring it from different perspectives. Now let's look at an example of a logon in a real environment. I mean, real user logon. So far we've been looking at simulated logons, right? So in this scenario, we want to talk about real logon. So let's look at user experience dashboard. Now, this is a place where all the users currently logged into your environment are visible here, and you can look at the user's experience in a snapshot. And this will sort it out based on the kind of issues that the user is having. So if the user is having a critical issue or a medium priority issue or a minor issue, those users will be showing up front. So in this scenario, there are a couple of users with issues, and you can actually click on any of these users, and it'll take you to a user experience dashboard. So imagine this in the hands of the help desk, so they'll be able to get to the problems quickly, look at what is going on with the user. So you can see when this particular user logged on, the alerts for that particular user, if he has any, session consumption, IO reads, line speed, all of those things are visible. And then HTX channel utilization, user session using top memory processes, top CPU consuming processes, top IO read write process. So all relevant information for a particular user session is visible. Now, this is from the user sessions perspective. Now I want to actually use the same user and connect into the host into which the user is logged in. And you can see here, I can see what is going on within the user session, overall session resources, HTX channel resources, how the HTX channel is being consumed. Now, let's look at this example. This is for user Kevin, and screen refresh latency is 5 seconds. So that is obviously a problem. Overall, things are pretty bad for this particular users because latency is pretty poor. And since screen refresh latency is high, but if you look at the corresponding latency for network, client network latency here, it is minuscule. It is 15 milliseconds. So you've got a client network latency that is pretty good, but screen refresh latency is pretty bad. But here you can see EG has picked up additional information on printer bandwidth. You can see input bandwidth is high and printer bandwidth output is high. So this essentially tells you that there is a high consumption of printer bandwidth, possibly a background printing job that is printing over the line at this point and choking the amount of bandwidth available for this particular user, and hence things becoming slow for his screen. Now, we can give you another example of latency. So here, it's a different user called John, and you can see the screen refresh latency for this user is 8.3, but client network latency is 7.3. So it's obvious where the issue is. So this is possible, and this level of clarity is possible because we are collecting these metrics from various different places using different methodologies. So that means we are getting all the relevant information that is important for understanding the user experience and automatically thresholding them, so you know exactly when a user is experiencing a problem where the problem is. So I want to show you guys what happens with logon. So you can see from Windows perspective, we can track real logon for real users. So you can see user logon breakup for logon duration, overall logon duration, how long it took in group policy, how long it took in user profile and system profile. Now this is real users logging in real time. So in addition to the logon simulation, we can also do the real logon tracking. So that means you get full visibility into any logon that is potentially slowing down. So let's look at this example. So here you have Citrix session startup details. So startup duration is 41 seconds for Keith. So this is basically logon breakdown. So let's look at the real logon information for this particular user. Now inside you can see session startup duration takes 41 seconds. So session creation, credential authentication, endpoint mapping, all the breakdowns. And you can see interactive session took about 41 seconds here. Where he logged in from, which session, which server he logged into, all the details that you need to know to exactly understand where the breakdown is. So what this does is it comprehensively gives you the view that you need, both from the outside perspective and from the inside perspective. So you you will have a measure of control over exactly what is going on in your logons in your environment, and be able to make sure that there are no issues in your logon process that will continue to impact your end users. So at the end of the day, you will get the better logon experience that you need, that you're looking for. And so we saw some examples of other kinds of metrics that we are able to collect, the latencies from two different perspectives impacting the user. So here is an example of details that we can go into a Citrix session and look at the details within the session. So CPU time consumed by user session is high. So you can drill down and you can see that Java GUI is consuming a lot of CPU, and that is causing the problem. Now we can look at browser launched by the users. You can get details into the browser sessions. You can see this user is looking at Facebook. So you can see the details of the browser sessions launched by the user. So all the typical problem areas that you see in the environment, you will be able to get drill down views into what is really going on. So that gives you the comprehensive overview you need to make sure the user experience is always optimal. So what you've seen is a snippet of how user experience needs to be managed, how comprehensive it needs to be, how you need to be looking at it from multiple perspectives, so you get a comprehensive handle on it. And last but not least, you should be able to go to the user experience dashboard and type in any user. You can search that user, and that user will show up. If you have thousands of users, you can pick up a user, go drill into the session, and see what is going on with that perspective, with that user. Okay, with that, let's go back into the slides. All right, so that's one main point that we wanted to focus on, which is how do you manage user experience? We saw that user experience is not a single metric. It's a comprehensive set of metrics that could be different in different environments. And it's not a single methodology using which you can manage it. So you have to use multiple different methodologies, and it's a set of metrics that you need to track to make sure that the user is always having a good experience. And you saw an example of how this can be done using EG. Now, let's take the next step and talk about how to look at Citrix as an end-to-end service. Simplifying management of Citrix by managing it as an end-to-end service. So let's take a look at how Citrix is typically laid out in an environment and what role it plays. So some of the graphics here might be referencing to older Citrix platforms, so bear with me on that. So now, at the end, if you see, the users and consumers are connecting to Citrix through various different layers. If you look at Citrix performance management, Citrix is not a single application anymore. It's a composite application. It's a platform today. It is very rich. It can provide a lot of functions and capabilities to user, but it's not just managing your Zen app like it used to be 20 years ago. It's a lot of different platforms and technologies that are used to deliver the experience and the different performances to the end user. Now, what comes out of the box looks at only relevant or smaller relevant pieces in Citrix. So let's look at what is important to look at. So there is your users, groups, consumers, access layer, control layer. If you look at only those pieces, you can see all these different pieces that are being missed. If you really look at how Citrix is being delivered, you've got infrastructure, which is predominantly where Citrix sits today, on top of which applications are run, which are being consumed by the end users. So if you focus on just users, you're only looking at a part of the picture. If you focus on access layer, you're again only looking at part of the picture. The control layer is again giving you only part of the picture. So to really understand how Citrix service is being consumed, you need to understand Citrix is part of a service that is essentially bigger and encompasses other applications that are involved in the service delivery end-to-end to the user. So Citrix by itself is component of a service that is typically bigger and that is delivered to the end user. So if you take that in mind, usually you've got different types of applications like SAP, or you've got Exchange, you've got different types of applications, you've got different types of platforms within which Citrix resides, on top of which Citrix resides, applications that reside within Citrix, applications that reside outside of Citrix that work with Citrix. So essentially, performance management of Citrix is not just managing XenApp. It's not just managing XenApp and 3 or 4 supporting servers that XenApp comes with. It's not just managing the entire Citrix platform. It is managing the entire Citrix platform and the applications and the services that run on top of it, and the underlying infrastructure that the Citrix platform runs on top of. So it requires a truly end-to-end perspective to understand and deliver effective services, effective analytics on top of this infrastructure. Now, when you don't have that comprehensive vision, comprehensive end-to-end visibility, you will end up with something like this, where the user is complaining about a problem, and you can see the problem could be coming back from anywhere in the infrastructure, anywhere in the application stack, anywhere in the different types of elements that you have that are interacting with each other. So this is the reality today, right? So we've got a lot of these different tools, and all these different tools have their own monitoring console, have their own technology that you use to see the metrics within them. That's well and good. That is useful for those administrators. But how do you really manage a complex end-to-end service that is now spanning across clouds, right? You need to understand how Citrix is being delivered and then manage it as an end-to-end service. Manage it as how it is being delivered to the customer, not as a piece of a service. And you saw the pitfalls of managing it as a siloed piece. You need to look at it as an end-to-end true service and manage it as such. Now you will see an example of this too. What happens when you're able to manage it as such is you are able to apply analytics on top. You are able to make the solution smarter so it becomes helpful to you in real time. So here's an example of how EG does this. And from our perspective, we can collect statistics across all these different applications and consolidate all of this under one performance monitoring suite. So that means you get the analytics advantage. So in simple terms, Citrix is no longer an individual application. Citrix is a platform. Great. Can I monitor just the platform? Citrix is a platform that interacts with other applications and platforms to deliver the service to the end user. So you have to truly manage the end-to-end service. Here's an example of how that can be accomplished. Now, once you accomplish that, like I said, it becomes smarter. That means you can prove it's not Citrix. You can do automatic root cause analysis. So let's start off, get back onto that demo. And from the user experience perspective, I'm going to switch to a service perspective now. So here are a couple of services that are being managed by this particular in this particular environment by this particular user, a Citrix Cloud service and a Partner Access service. I'm going to drill into the Partner Access service. You can see that on the front, I have some emulator transactions that are being done on the Citrix environment. You've got access applications, update items. They are very, very slow. Now, typically, this is where a typical monitoring tool will stop and say, hey, it's very slow. Here is an alert. That's well and good, but what am I supposed to do with that alert? So with EG, we know that it's a symptom of a problem, so we've reduced the priority of it and focused you elsewhere. So when you drill down from there, you see the topology. Let me see if I can maximize this topology a little bit. So here is an example of a typical Citrix topology. You've got things that are running in the cloud, things that are running in-house, things that are used to connect. So you've got storefront, delivery controller, XenApp, provisioning servers. You've got things that are hosted in the cloud, external Oracle, different applications that are involved in delivering this, and your internal Citrix being delivered on top of, it can run on top of any type of virtualization platform you have. So all of this is represented in the service, the end-to-end service. And you can see the health of each and every component is also represented here. Green means it's good. Yellow means it's a low priority issue. Orange means medium priority, and red would be a critical priority. In this scenario, you can clearly see the health from end to end, and you can see exactly where the problem is. So I drill down into the problem, and I can see that the ESX host that is hosting these couple of XenApp servers and the SQL server is having a more critical issue. I can drill into that, and it'll show me all the VMs that are there in that ESX. Just like I was able to drill into a Citrix component, I can drill into ESX, I can drill into any type of virtualization platform you might have. I can drill into NetScaler, all those different things. So in this scenario, I'm drilling into a particular VM, and that particular VM virtual CPU utilization is high. I'm drilling down to see what's going on. Somebody's running a backup process that's choking up the CPU, not only taking up a lot of CPU through this VM, but it's also impacting the ESX host as such. So that is, as a downstream effect, impacting your user experience because the transactions were slow. Now, if I look at the current alarms, now I was able to walk through how a service is delivered. You saw the user problem first, and then the topology, and then we drilled down and saw where the problem was in the infrastructure. Now, all of that is done automatically because of our ability to do service-based analysis. You can see that there are multiple issues in this environment, but it is correlated, and it is telling you the top root cause analysis that you need to focus on is the CPU consumption on this particular VM. And if you drill down from here, you will get the exact same result that you got there. And this information in detail will be sent to you automatically into your trouble ticketing system or your incident management system. So essentially, nobody needs to be even looking at this. And that is the power of end-to-end performance management. That is the power of applying analytics on top of the service view. Instead of, if I don't have any of that, I will be facing something like this for the same exact issue. You can see about 15 different things wrong here. And this is something that most of you have faced at different parts of your career where there is a problem. And you just start looking at different tools and you start getting a bunch of things that are broken in each and every tool. Now, you know that there is an underlying cause somewhere that is causing these effects, but you don't know what that is. You spend hours and hours, you get multiple people on a call, you have these tiger team meetings, and then you try to figure out where this problem is. All of that is done automatically for you. You're focused on the right problem at the right time. Now, in reality, when this is proactively done, when your CPU consumption goes above, for a particular VM, if it starts going above 60%, you will start getting an alert. So if you've taken care of that at that point, you would have actually prevented this entire thing from even happening. So in essence, you would have proactively prevented an issue from impacting the customer. And that's really where you want to be. You want to be able to catch issues before they become customer impacting issues and then rectify them, remedy them. Okay, now that is a teaser, if you will, of what is the power of end-to-end service management, end-to-end performance management, end-to-end analytics that are being applied to this. So effectively, as you move on into the future where cloud becomes an integral part of how we are all running our infrastructures, it becomes more and more important that performance management also becomes smarter. Imagine you having to deal with already a half a dozen tools to manage your internal environment. Now, when you start going into cloud, if you add another half a dozen tools on top of it, all day long, you'll just be looking at different tools and different screens. You want a consolidated view. You want a consolidated solution that has the ability to look at end-to-end service and bring it all together. So this is another example of the service. You can see a different topology here. See different web servers, different types of, you can see the Citrix Cloud Delivery Controller, Cloud Connector, all of this being managed. So we support everything that comes out new from Citrix, and not just Citrix, as we will talk about as I go along. So if you guys need any further information or any more details, as I said, this was a teaser into what this technology can do. You can always reach out to us, and we'll be happy to set up a more in-depth demo with you and your team. Now, with that said, let me go through a couple of more slides to wrap this up. So, e.g. enterprise differentiators, I wanted to touch on this a little bit. While we spent a lot of time talking about Citrix and how to get optimal user experience, the best practices to get that, EG doesn't only focus on Citrix. We support over 190 different types of applications and tools and platforms. So we have comprehensive coverage in Citrix and non-Citrix environments as well. Our ability to support all these different types of elements, even within Citrix, gives us the reach that you need to truly do end-to-end. And once you have the reach, you need depth to understand, to get all the details you need on each and every individual component. And of course, putting those together and our ability to do the analytics on top means you are able to identify and isolate problems before they start impacting users. Okay, so Citrix Cloud environment, as I was saying earlier, is fully supported. We use the Citrix APIs from the Citrix Cloud. And so even though you're moving a lot of your stuff into Citrix Cloud, you will still get visibility into what is going on there through the Citrix provided APIs. And then you will be able to manage everything that is in your infrastructure and still be able to see everything in a single console, as I was talking about earlier, which is the most important piece when it comes to managing your environment in an effective way. You need to be able to look at it as a single service as it is being delivered to the end user. That will allow you to stay ahead of the problems. That means you can constantly keep your service at optimum level and provide better user experience. Of course, we provide out-of-the-box optimization, planning reports, right-sizing reports, auditing reports, and a lot of these different stuff. Like I said earlier, we support over 190 different types of platforms and applications. So it provides you full stack monitoring on each and every one of these applications. Full stack monitoring essentially is we're not just looking at Citrix layers. We're looking at the infrastructure layer. We're looking at the network layer. We're looking at the operating system layer. We're looking at the cloud, virtual machine, all of those layers. So you get full stack, in-depth, what's going on across your environment. This is all the benefits of using the EG tool in conjunction with Citrix or in general EG performance management. We want to improve your user satisfaction, improve your end user response time, end user experience, improve your IT productivity because you're not focusing on fighting problems all the time. Higher service uptime, simplicity, and this gets lost today. This becomes more and more important as environments become more and more complex. Our ability to make this simple to manage for you becomes very handy because now you're not spending hours and hours every day trying to get a handle on what's going on in your environment. You get everything in a single snapshot from one place. We can be used for Citrix VDI monitoring, application performance monitoring, enterprise application monitoring, and unified monitoring. And if you have any questions on any of this, feel free to reach out to us and we can work with you to further clarify. So in the end, I want to summarize what we talked about today. We touched on three main factors to make sure you have optimal end user experience. You can deliver optimal end user experience to your end users. Number one, focus on end user experience. And end user experience is not a simple metric. It's a complex metric. It is a metric that constitutes, it's a composite metric that constitutes of multiple different metrics that needs to be monitored using multiple different methodologies. You need to focus on that. The second thing is managing Citrix as a service. You need to make sure you understand all the elements that are involved in delivering the Citrix service, not just the Citrix server, not just the Citrix platform, but also the ecosystem, also all the applications and other infrastructure platforms that are involved in the delivery. And last but not least, applying analytics on top to make things simpler. If I collect a ton of metrics and still give you those ton of metrics, the onus is on you to try to figure out how to manage this environment effectively. So you need to have the right kind of analytics. So you are processing information rather than data. Now with that, I'm going to throw it back to Q&A.
Thank you, Bala. It was a great presentation. We have a couple of questions from the attendees. The first question. So how much time it takes for a customers to deploy and configure your solutions in a Citrix or in a normal environment?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's basically turnkey. It comes preloaded with the layer models, tests, and thresholds. So that means basically it's plug and play. You don't have to do much configuration. So in a normal Citrix environment, in a normal size Citrix environment, we can be up and running in minutes and start giving you value within hours. So it's very easy to deploy.
Okay. And the next question, is your solution on-prem service or a cloud-based service?
Okay, excellent question. It can be both. So we provide multiple options where the software can be consumed as a on-cloud service. But if the customer chooses to, we also have an enterprise platform, so where it can be on-prem software that they can deploy and manage in their own environment. So we support both.
Okay. The next question, is it possible to use your solution within a multi-tenant environment? For example, if a customer or if an IT provider managing a multi-cloud, multi-tenant environment, so can your solution can be deployed in that infrastructure to monitor multi-tenant?
Yes, yes. The solution is extremely flexible and actually designed to handle these kind of environments. You will be able to handle a multi-tenant environment using our solution, and you will be able to give each and every one of your tenant individual views and individual performance data using our tool.
Okay, great. And the next question, so can an engineer can an engineer monitor a logon process which are located in a different location across the globe? Let's say if a customer have an environment in a different location, so can that be monitored even if it is located in a different locations across the globe?
Yes, yes, that is. The logon simulator is designed to accommodate that. In fact, that is one of the most popular use cases among our customers. Many of our customers run the logon simulator from different locations and different branches and different countries that they have, pointing it to a single location. So you get breakdown of logon from different data centers across different countries.
Okay, the next question is related to the licensing. Your perpetual license starts at $10. What includes with that, and what else the customer has to pay extra? I think. Do you want to take this question, or you want to take it?
I think we'll take this question offline. I'm not sure where they got that price from. I'm not sure that is accurate, but well, we'll be happy to take that question offline.
Okay, and I think that there's one more question. So, how much it cost for the enterprise AG Enterprise Suite. I think that is also I think you can take it offline.
Yeah.
Okay, the next question. So can an IT engineer use the monitoring solutions in a web environment to monitor or capture logon process?
Yes. So as we saw in the demo earlier, not only are we able to give you a logon simulator, but we also capture all the real logons in your environment. So we look at it from the Citrix session startup perspective. We also look at it from Windows logon perspective. So all real logons and the metrics for those logons are captured, and you'll be able to see the details of those.
Great. And the next question, do you integrate with the incident management tools like ServiceNow or
Sorry, say it again.
do you integrate? Do your solution integrate with the incident management tools like a ServiceNow?
Yes,
Or
yes, we support integration with incident management tools like ServiceNow, Remedy, and a lot of different other platforms that are out there in the market. Incident management, trouble ticketing, all these different types of applications we integrate with.
okay, great. And the next question. So, how long an IT administrator can store the logs and data and from this to the monitoring tool, and is it? Can they see a historical reports as well?
Yes, yes, we didn't touch on this during the demo, but the information that is collected is stored in our in our databases by default for 6 weeks, and then we store historical averages for 6 months. But this can be customized, and you can store this data for longer periods of time if you choose to. And yeah, all this information is stored. All the real-time information is also stored. So in real time, you'll be able to go look at what happened in the past 1 hour, or what happened in the past one day, or past 1 week. You'll be able to do graphs and see all of that yourself.
Okay, great. And the next question, does your solution support monitoring of multiple virtualization technologies?
Yes, we support all the most popular virtualization technologies, virtualization from Citrix, from VMware, from Microsoft, from Oracle, all those different virtualization platforms we support.
Okay, great. And the next question is, how does your solution different from the monitoring tools available in the market?
Yeah, good question. So some of this is what I touched on earlier. Part of it is a lot of solutions look at one single perspective of looking at a particular metric. They go with that approach. That's one. And number two, they are usually siloed. So they'll give you in-depth information about what's going on in one layer, say, for example, a Zen app. But they won't be able to do end-to-end service view. They won't be able to give you the comprehensive metrics you need across the entire service. And the power of EG is, even if you get 3 or 4 tools that gives you all those metrics across the entire service, you still need to look at those tools and aggregate the metrics somewhere, and there is no analytics present on the top. So you're just now bombarded with too many metrics. With EG, it is already integrated into the service view, and you get analytics on top of it. So at the end, you're getting the right information at the right time across the entire service. Whereas most tools out there in the market are focused on individual metrics or individual elements and silos, so you're not getting the complete picture or the full set of metrics or the analytics.
Great, great. And the last question, do you have a support help desk for EG products in case if a customer required for to
Yeah.
deploy, or in case if they wanted to configure thresholds or anything, if they wanted to modify.
Yes. We have various different types of services available, and we also have a help desk that is 24/7. So all those, and it is a global support organization also. So yes, all of that is available with EJ.
Yeah, that's great. That's all we have. I think we have a couple of more questions. I think that will be shared with Bala. I think I'll get back to you with answers. Um, thanks everyone for joining us today. We will be sharing a recorded webinar with you in a couple of days. Please feel free to come back and watch the archive, and you could also share with your colleagues and friends. And once again, thanks, Bala. It was a fantastic presentation, and you gave all the granular details of your product and how it could monitor and help Citrix customers to better their user experience. And thanks for that. And that concludes today's broadcast. Thanks again for everyone joining us today.